morning, Bob.
Good morning, Mark. It's a beautiful day.
It is. We're in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona at the B2B Marketing Exchange. And today I'm here with Meredith Fuller. Meredith is an ABM strategist and managing director at Quarry. She pretty much is an early adopter of ABM and has basically been setting the trends for her and her clients across the globe. So, Meredith, welcome.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled to be in the sunshine because I'm from a colder clime. So lots of good reasons to be at BDMX.
Definitely. So one of the things I wanted to ask about, and I'm sorry, we also have Bob Samuels here managing this call.
Hi, guys, and I'm sorry I'm not there, but I'm living vicariously the event through you.
Right, and Bob runs and manages Tech Connector. And one of the things, Meredith, I want to ask you briefly, well, why are you here? Like, what does B2B Marketing Exchange bring to you and your audience?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have to say, this is absolutely one of my favorite conferences from a B2B marketing perspective generally. I find that this conference has great on-point content. It really is up to the minute in terms of trends and issues and the challenges that B2B marketers are facing, and then really delivering very practical information and actionable guidance in terms of how to address those challenges or adopt new strategies and technologies. It's also, I find, sort of that perfect size. So it's not so big that you feel like you're lost and can't keep track of all the tracks and sessions and opportunities, but big enough that there's a lot of variety and a lot of opportunity to connect with leaders and learn. So I
think that's spot on, because I think too often as the years have evolved and B2B, bizarrely enough, our conferences have gotten smaller instead of bigger. And we tend to be a niche within a B2C or a content exchange or so many other things versus being the focal point. And these guys, Sal and Demand Gen, they focus on just B2B. So you don't run into a lot of B2C unless you're trying to promote to those audiences. So, and I agree, the content has been, I've been coming here a long time. The content is amazing and on point, as well as the vendors that they have here for the exhibition. That it's a really big word, and a friend of mine who happens to be basically managing this call came up with it in my terms, is cooperation.
Right.
There's a lot of people that compete, but at the same time, we've all been around the industry for a long time that we all respect and can learn from each other.
Absolutely.
So you have a session going on Wednesday. What's the topic about?
Yeah, so actually I'm really excited to present this session tomorrow, and it's with a client of ours, Dan Martinez of OC Tanner. And what's fascinating is that we actually met last year at B2BMX. So we met basically 1 year ago today. So the session is actually about OC Tanner's journey with respect to account-based adoption. So it's sort of how they went from not having an established ABM practice, and then the course of events that they've undertaken over the last 12 months to where they are now, which is actually with a one-to-few ABM pilot in market and a one-to-one campaign in market, and having stood up all the sort of internal operations, technology, data, processes, and sales alignment to get there. So really excited to talk about it and hopefully give folks a glimpse of where they could potentially be in 2021 if they're in the shoes that Dan was in last year this time.
Yeah, I think that's really, and I want to go because I really think there's, as we all know, ABM has been out for a while now, 3 to 4 years. But about 3 years ago, people barely could spell it. And 2 years ago, people really didn't understand it until like Engagio and others adopted it to put a software or a system or infrastructure or Topo talk about it or whomever. And now I think people are slowly getting the traction, as I see being a lead gen vendor at B2B Market or a B2 Lead. I see that all the requests are coming in for, here's my ABM list. They don't even talk as a target account list anymore. But the thing that's missing, it's almost like the old days of the 80s and 90s of consultants, is a primer onto really how to take those steps and how not just to make the mistakes, but what you learn from those mistakes to take the decision tree to be successful. You can't get frustrated. It's not something you can do ABM. It's not an or. It's not an and. I mean, it's not an or. You can't just do ABM and nothing else. You have to do ABM and top of funnel and still keep the funnel and then still do your handshaking and baby kissing and everything else that goes with it. But too many people just don't know the roadmap.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things we've been talking a lot about internally at Quarry and with clients and even prospects is that idea of going slow to go fast. And what we mean by that is really making sure in your rush to adopt account-based and get programs and activities that deliver results in market, make sure though that you're taking the time to set yourself up for success and that you're doing it right. Because particularly for those who are new to account-based and who have heard about all the great benefits account-based can deliver, if you don't do a good job of it though, if you don't take the time, make the effort, have the due diligence to actually set it up correctly and really be mindful about all the tenets of ABM, you won't be successful and you'll sort of have undermined yourself. So we really talk about that balance about, going slow at the front end to make sure you're doing it right, that you're setting yourself up for success, that you're adhering to best practices, so then you can go fast when you actually go into market and then when you're looking to scale, for example. So that roadmap is something, you're right, I think people need and then need to adhere to, ideally.
No, exactly. But let me ask you a question to take one step behind that.
Sure.
Who's your sponsor when you're trying to do this? Because I need leads, I need a funnel, I need to get my company running, and my boss is all over me because I need revenue for this quarter. How do you build a foundation that you have to tell someone, trust me, it's going to come?
So funnily enough, we just were having a conversation this morning over breakfast with a client who's in exactly that same spot. They're keen to adopt account-based, but they feel like they need some quick wins. Well, one of the things that we talk about at Quarry is that obviously a key tenet of account-based is identifying the accounts and prioritizing the accounts based upon data science as well as qualitative information, and then that contact coverage, which is so paramount as well, making sure you have multiple folks at those organizations who are in that buying group. So if from a starting point and getting some quick wins, if you're doing that account work and that contact coverage work, showing sales, look, here's all these addressable, marketable contacts now that we've been able to find for those accounts that matter to you, that's a great early indicator of success and shows sales that you're really, about supporting what they're trying to achieve and helping them to do that by getting that contact coverage, by getting that account intelligence. So I would say that that's a great sort of early win on your road to delivering a full, robust account-based campaign.
No, that's excellent, because I really think also that in the 20 years that I've been doing this is that everybody used to always talk about, and I still do, oh, you must merge sales and marketing. You must have the same goals. You must work together. I think this is the first time they really have to intently work together to make sure that the goals are revenue driven to that.
The measures of account-based absolutely do a great job of aligning marketing and sales. So they, do, because they are more business imperatives, they are actually aligning to sales types of imperatives around pipeline, around velocity through the funnel, around average deal size, around close rates. I mean, those for sure are the types of metrics that sales cares about. So if they see that marketing is keying in on those too, I think that helps drive that alignment. Yeah,
and it's not just what have you done for me lately.
Exactly.
So that's really, really great. I really appreciate your time. And by the way, Bob, we are live on the floor of B2B Marketing Exchange, so you will hear interesting noises as we're walking around like the gentleman filling ice cubes in the water cooler. But no, one final question that I have, and then Bob can come in with anything he has. We've done our accounting, we've done our marketing automation, we've done our SDRs, we've done our ABM. What do you see as like the growth of the future? All I hear about now is AI. I hear about intent data and Bombora. I hear about conversational content. I mean, bots, chat bots are the next big thing. Someone said yesterday that I interviewed. So what is your vision for you and your clients?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, I think there will continue to be incredible advances from a MarTech standpoint, for sure. I think that the acceleration of the sophistication of marketing technology is going to continue, and the integrations and the functionality. I do think that, that sales and marketing alignment, particularly as you look at the growth in things like chief revenue officers and revenue operations, which is really bringing together the marketing and sales functions, I think that's going to continue. all of this to me, though, really just kind of underscores the idea that, account-based ideally becomes an organizational core competency. So you have the people, the processes, the technologies, the roles even, and the responsibilities that are all attuned specifically to delivering really effective account-based campaigns. I mean, at Quarry, we talk a lot about the fact that, really account-based is just really smart B2B marketing. It's about quality, it's about effectiveness of your spend, it's about efficiency to a certain degree. And so making that a core competency, making account-based something that your entire organization understands and supports, again, not to replace all your other marketing activities, but that the account-based work you do is really running sort of as a center of excellence. I think that's what we're going to continue to see the shift towards.
Yeah, and there's something that I pick up on. Bob, before today, I really don't think I think I knew who Meredith was, honestly, but I don't think I have ever sat down with her in all the years to have a conversation, and I missed out, basically. But of all seriousness, one thing I like that you're saying is account-based. You never put the word marketing in that terminology because no, I get it, because I know when a friend of mine used to say account-based everything, and another one said account-based marketing, and another one said, it's none of them, it's all of them. Exactly. So just by saying account-based reminds me of the old national account days, but we still weren't smart. You were just still throwing it against the wall.
Right.
I do have one more question, because you brought up a point about the evolution of MarTech and everything else. Mm-hmm. But what about the targets of all that? So you've got all these tools, but they don't always talk to each other.
No. So it's, again, interesting that you bring that up. So we have a marketing, technology, and operations team specifically within Quarry. And one of the areas that we've been spending a lot of time, again, talking about with our clients, especially within the auspices of that team, is taking advantage of the technology you already have. So there was a stat that I heard just the other day that marketers believe they're only utilizing 61% of the marketing technology functions, features, benefits, et cetera, that they currently have already invested in. So being really smart about how to get the strongest ROI from those technologies, ensuring that those back-end integrations, those data flows, et cetera, are happening. I think you're going to see more of that. I mean, I think there's been a huge rush to adopt new technologies, and there are some phenomenal technologies out there. So I'm not at all suggesting don't buy new, but what I would absolutely advocate is do a good job of the due diligence and the evaluation of the technology you already have, you've already invested in, to ensure you're getting the most of it, and then figure out what gaps do you perhaps still need to fill. So I think, being as smart as you can with your technology that you have, and there's a lot you can do with pretty basic technology, or I guess I would say foundational technology from an account-based standpoint. You don't have to have absolutely all the different technologies to stand up an account-based program. There's some great account-based work you can do.
Okay. So Meredith, I have one final question for you. And the final question is, influencers. Too many people see, or they come to companies like mine or whoever, whatever's out there in the world that's doing lead gen, and say, I only want 2 contacts per domain. How does that affect their business? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me.
No, and I don't think it should, because to me, again, a tenet of account-based really is that contact coverage. It really is, as much as possible, trying to reach all those folks in that B2B buying syndicate or buying group. So that's your key decision makers, the folks who'll sign the contract, but also those influencers, the black hatters. I mean, it really is taking a look at anybody and everybody who could have a role in that decision-making process. And I absolutely would advocate that sales provides input into who those folks are. So just as an example, we have a client who has a solution that focuses primarily on HR teams and is really for HR divisions. And when we spoke to sales to say, okay, we presume we want to hit the HR leaders and then probably as many members of their team as we can find, it was sales who said, well, you know what? You really should try to cover off procurement as well, because they can be a big roadblock to us, even when we have those HR decision makers on board. So we made sure that as part of the campaign, we did have some messaging that went specifically to the procurement teams at those key accounts to just sort of soften the way for the solution ultimately when HR was going to bring it forward. So yeah, I think that contact coverage is a really important element of successful account-based.
Yeah, it's funny how Circle of Excellence has never changed in the last 20 years of sales, where you have to always know your audience and who the buyers are. And it's not anymore just being one buyer, which is fine. It's really, as you said, that syndicate, which I love the word actually. But it's also the others, that those little things on the edge, like procurement or you know, legal or CFO or whomever, you know, anybody that could say no and has the authority to say no. No, this is excellent. The insight has been off the charts, and I appreciate it totally, because this is what B2B Marketing Exchange is all about. This is what seeing 1,200 of your closest friends and peers is all about, seeing small audiences. I want to thank you. And Bob, do you have anything final for Meredith before we sign off?
I just have one selfish question. Since I'm not there, Meredith, what are the top 2 or 3 things or people you've seen or met so far at the BBMX?
Oh gosh, that's a question.
Besides Mark.
Well, I really appreciated the opening, actually, one of the opening addresses yesterday by Tasman. She's a really dynamic speaker and really talking about, you know, how to make sure you get green lights from folks, whether it's internal teams or clients, and how you need to go about doing that and thinking about that. I thought that was sort of a nuance that perhaps we haven't heard, or was a little bit different in terms of the types of, you know, go-to-market messages, go-to-market approaches, et cetera, that we typically take with our clients or with our internal teams. Honestly, I am really excited today to just, you know, sit in presentations themselves. Yesterday we did a good to great presentation or workshop that we led, so that was a lot of fun. I think people you know, got a lot, and we certainly learned a lot in terms of the challenges that B2B marketers are facing. Yeah, there's just so much goodness here. Certainly for folks who've not had the chance to attend B2BMX previously, I would highly encourage them to put it on their calendar for 2021.
Yeah, without a doubt, because you know what, the one thing I've noticed about B2B Marketing Exchange is you have the right people in the right spot, and you know what, everybody from CXO level down is approachable, and they're open to having a conversation. So
they really are.
Bob, thank you for your time, and thank you for the help of Tech Connector, bringing Quarry and B2Lead together for a B2B Marketing Exchange conversation.
My pleasure. I call it a double mitzvah. It's a double good deed. I'm doing you both a favor. Thank you again, and thank you for sharing, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Bob.
Have a nice day.